Hey everyone, it's Crystal here. So I'm here to bring you a video just to talk about burnout and give you a overview of what burnout is and just to talk about what the causes are, some preventative measures and preventative strategies available to you when you are in this concept or mind frame of experiencing burnout. So, first and foremost, what causes burnout? And burnout is a rock bottom consequence of your busy life. It is your total loss of energy or motivation with no sign of relief. So, as you can understand, that's already a pretty deep causation of burnout when you've actually hit rock bottom in life and things are just so busy, you've just have no energy, no motivation to do anything, and you're kind of stuck in this mode of feeling almost like there's no other way out. So what other causations cause burnout? Well, it is a result of chronic stress. And chronic stress is built up over time. When you constantly experience different stressors in life, things can start building on if they aren't released. So, with the chronic stress, it can start showing up in different symptoms that you may experience, which we'll get into later. But that is another cause of burnout. What else? Well, burnout's taking away the joy. It takes out the joy of everything. And without joy, what's the purpose of life and doing all the things that we enjoy in life if we're burnt out and too tired to even take the pleasures and joy out of that? So what are we essentially living for if that's the case? So bringing some awareness to that as well, that does cause burnout, the lack of joy, no joy in things that may have brought you joy before, or even new experiences don't bring you any joy. That's an indicator. So, burnout is also a consequence of compounding issues resulting in, which means essentially one thing continuously happens after another. Maybe you're just on a really bad streak. And as it continue to compound, this does really relate to chronic stress in a sense, where you then have the consequence of feeling the burnout because of the compounding issues. And fundamentally, absolutely fundamentally, burnout is an emotional issue. This is an emotional issue that you're going through. It's not a mental issue. Well, it could be that, but it is truly an emotion that you're feeling. It is a way to describe your emotion that you're feeling and everything that goes along with it, that the burnout is actually truly present in an emotional level. So let's get down into some symptoms because now that we know what causes burnout and the fact that actually anyone and everyone can actually feel this, what are our symptoms of burnout and what are we noticing when we do have these burnout sensations? So, some really practical symptoms that you may be experiencing that maybe you're experiencing all the time and you just never realized that they were burnout is extremely tired, this fatigue feeling, being tired all the time, just not having the energy to do anything. That's a serious, actually, one of the number one indicators of burnout. Feeling forgetful and having a foggy mind. So things are just not clear anymore, you're forgetting typical things that you used to do, things like that. Maybe feeling some sort of anger and resentment towards other people, even your own self, feeling this anger and resentment towards situations that you're experiencing, the hopelessness and helplessness that you're feeling, which is also another symptom of burnout. That deep, hopeless, and helpless expression, feeling like there's no other way out. Insomnia. Insomnia is major. Having those looping thoughts when you're sleeping, or, your mind is constantly chattering when you're trying to fall asleep. So, having insomnia is really challenging to overcome because, sleep is where we need the most for our day-to-day healing. And when you have insomnia, you're run by your thoughts rather than run by the chemistry of our natural bodies. So the insomnia, or even the opposite, where you're getting too much sleep, that's even another form of burnout, where you're probably getting like more than enough adequate sleep for yourself, and you're just oversleeping. And then that can make you wake up feeling groggy and tired, and like you didn't rest for the day and regain yourself. Some other things that you may feel, other symptoms of burnout, is anxiousness. And anxiousness is something really hard to target because, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people have anxiety over so many things. And when you have anxiety in a social manner, or maybe in a personal manner where you have anxiety towards situations or things or thoughts rather than people, there's just so many forms of anxiety. And when you start feeling anxious towards everything and you're unable to gain or grasp anything, that's a major pathway to burnout. So, anxiety is such a huge umbrella of potential changes and challenges you may experience with your own self. And that's something that really needs to be addressed and acknowledged as something that needs to be rendered to be better. Depression's a huge symptom, and we may all think, okay, yes, I am depressed, but truly depressed people really have this serious sense that they'll never get out of it, that they're always going to be in this depressed state of mind, that depression is just going to be their life. There's no other way to live life but in this deep sorrow of depression. And that's an unfortunate position to be in. And this feeling of depression leads to burnout, because then you don't have any uh, fundamental trust in moving forward in a more satisfying, self serving, more of a happier way in life. You're just feeling doom and gloom all the time. So, being in that depressed state of mind certainly isn't helpful and is another roadway to burnout. So, as you can see, the symptoms list is quite large. Again, going into the chronic stress, the emotional exhaustion, perhaps, just always being tired and emotionally exhausted kind of go hand in hand. Um, just the also the lack of patience, feeling like you're impatient and frustrated constantly will lead to like anxiety and depression. So these are all very interrelated symptoms that you will feel and will start, if not addressed, will start leading to burnout. So feeling also detached from people, and maybe even slightly detached from yourself, will put you into this kind of loneliness, isolation mind frame where you're kind of soloing it and rolling solo, and you feel like people don't understand you. You feel like people don't have the time for you. They don't have a good understanding of what you're going through. And this could actually be very isolating for somebody. Um, Feeling burnout, and also when you're in this mode, you may not be able to get yourself the help that you so desirably need in that kind of situation. So fear leads to burnout. Um, we've all felt fear. Fear is a natural human being response to things that don't sit well with us. And when we are in a heightened mode of constant fear in our lives, you know that you start feeling really tired. Your mind is tired, your body will start exuding a tired somewhat posture, as well as perhaps some health situations that may arise from the fear. So you start feeling these different changes within your body. Even with the fear, it can lead to chronic stress because you're always in that heightened mode of, being afraid, and kind of the fleeting emotion that things are just, always going to be in this way. So you're kind of in a heightened state of an emotion, where it leads to emotional exhaustion, which leads to burnout. So, I think you see the pattern here. I can keep going on and boring you with the symptoms, but I think you have a good idea right now of what the symptoms are. So, how does burnout feel? Burnout feels exactly like what we talked about. So, all those symptoms, if you see that they are constantly, honestly, always present in your life, no matter what. Doesn't matter if you're supposed to be having a good day, yet the bad days override the good days. It doesn't matter if you're feeling happy for one moment, but then all of a sudden your mood fluctuates and you're in this pattern of happy, sad, happy, sad. Just imagine what those feelings are sending to your body and what kind of messages you're giving to your body. Our mood is a major symptom of a major resource to show us how we're feeling inside, what our thoughts are, and what's happening within us. And when you're able to evaluate that and just take a look at that, you'll be able to feel it because whatever we're thinking is sending signals throughout our body. It is one and the same. The mind and the body is one entity, essentially. So, whatever is happening, these burnout sensations you're feeling, the symptoms that we just talked about, it can put you into a position where these feelings actually don't feel very good in your body, and maybe very challenging to even recognize because you don't maybe realize that this is abnormal. And who can experience this burnout? Well, it's a simple answer. Anybody can. Anybody can experience burnout. It's not subject just to one type of person, one category, one age. It could be anyone. Burnout can happen to anyone. You can experience any of these issues. It doesn't matter where you're at in life or what you're doing in life. Burnout is going to be a pathway for anyone who's walking down that path with the symptoms that I mentioned. What happens if you don't address burnout? Well, exactly what we just talked about. All the symptoms will arise. You'll have perhaps even some health issues that come about from an emotional state. You'll have challenges balancing your emotional needs and your emotional wants, and also finding some physical balance and alignment within. So, not addressing the burnout can lead to so many things. You can start feeling these challenges within your health, and we can go down deeper because a lot of people who are in this burnout mode don't realize that a lot of their chronic symptoms, like chronic fatigue or even pain, perhaps even some issues with digestion or your nervous system, all these things, all these factors could be a result from chronic stress, yes, and also because you're burnt out. And then it starts showing in different ways. So you can't heal what you can't feel. And if you don't feel these things in your body, you're not going to be able to heal them. And that's not going to be, very beneficial for you. And that's when we start going down the path of like chronic pain, chronic disease, chronic illnesses, and having chronic health issues. And if you can bring some level of awareness to what's happening and really tune into your body, gain this relationship with your body that is so ultimately fundamentally important as a human being, trying to be connected and understand and bring some awareness, you'll be able to identify some of these things that I've told you about, and then start backtracking to see officially if you are dealing with burnout. So I hope you're able to get some value of that today. I was able to help you realize what burnout feels like, give you some really great examples, provide you with what may happen to you if a burnout situation is not addressed, and who can experience it. Not only me, but you. So, bringing yourself to a level of understanding with your mind and your body connection, and just really finding that desire to want to learn about yourself and want to gain a great level of understanding. It's just so important for our lives. And just to share a quick story about burnout, I've been there and there's no shame in being there. We all have been somewhere in our lives where, it's probably not the best place we could have been, but it is what it is. But I've been in a burnout situation. And I was in a place of employment that just didn't serve me very well. And I didn't feel very good every day. And my body was like, I was fighting my body. I was fighting my body and I was fighting it with my mind, trying to tell myself, you have to do this because you just have to do it and you have no other choice. And I would wake up miserable every day. Things were just really hard for me. I just didn't have any motivation. It felt like it was just clockwork. I was just doing what I had to do to put food on the table and pay the bills, and because this is what you're supposed to do. And I was just going through the motions of life. And granted, now I look back, I'm grateful for the experience I had. But I'm also very in tune with the fact that that job did cause me to burn out. I was responsible for so many things. I felt like I had to save the company because the company was falling apart anyway. And I just felt like everybody's life was on my shoulders. And I felt like I wasn't valued and I wasn't feeling like things mattered as much to everybody else as they did to me. And I felt like I was taking it all on. And I was the know-it-all. I was the book of all books within the office, and I knew everything about anything. And that's a great place to be, but when it doesn't serve you well, I started experiencing a lot of these burnout symptoms. And for me, it showed up in a health manner. It showed up in my health. I wasn't, I was, yes, exercising, eating well, but that wasn't enough. It wasn't just about exercising and eating well. It was more what was happening like in here, and what was happening in here wasn't matching what was in here. And that was that was a big awakening moment for me when I realized, especially with the health challenges I was going through at the time that just came out of nowhere. And you know, I did seek counsel. I got some help. I met with, many doctors trying to work it all through. And something that just resonated with me after going through all these tests and procedures and surgeries and flare-ups and monitoring and all that jazz. Something that someone said to me, which was something that no one has ever said, that just flipped a switch in my mind and made me realize, like, there's more to this than you don't understand. It's not just surface. It's much much deeper than that. And he said to me, it was a doctor, and he said to me when I was there recovering, he said, sometimes, like, you're very healthy, like everything about you, there's nothing wrong with you, like everything comes back really clean. So I asked him, like, well, what's happening, like why is this happening to me? And he's like, honestly, ma'am, like sometimes it starts in the mind. And when he said that to me, I was like, okay, like, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't make any sense. How could all this stuff happening to me start in my mind? And he just looked at me, he said, just start there and see what happens. And that was my journey to really, truly, deeply, honestly, deeply looking into what's happening in my mind, what my thoughts are doing, how it's serving me, and how this was relating to my day every single day, how I was reacting, responding, interpreting, absorbing, thinking, all of these things. And then how I would act. It just all led to the same place, which was burnout. So I knew I had to take this matter into my own hands, and I had to do something about it. And I finally did. And honestly, it's the most freeing and the most liberating thing that I have ever chosen to do. So I hope I was able to give you some motivation out of that today. And I just wanted to share a little bit of an experience of my own self because I feel like we're all human and we need that human connection. And I'm not just here to preach, I'm here to share as well. And I think that's just so important that we set a platform where we can all put ourselves out there a little bit and just feel not so alone, that we all have something that we're all going through and that we can all get through it together. So I hope you're able to get some value out of that today. I'll see you guys soon.